Well, I'm going to now discuss the architectural characteristic feature of the Shahjahanabad. Shahjahanabad means the Red Fort at Delhi, and it was built by Shahjahan. This Shahjahanabad, Shahjahan, before shifting the capital at Delhi, the Mughal capital was Agra. Agra was founded as a capital by Akbar, and it continued to serve the Akbar, Jahangir, or most of the time of Shahjahan. Ultimately, Shahjahan built a new capital that is known as Shahjahanabad and transferred in 1638. But the construction of the palaces and construction of the Red Fort started in 1639 and it continued up to the 1648. Almost 9 years. The construction of these buildings took place and a very beautiful whole complex that is known as Red Fort ultimately completed. This fort was built with red sandstone. That's why it is known as Red Fort. You know, this fort was having a architect and Mr. Ustad Ahmad Lahori, who was the architect who planned this fort, who designed all the buildings and who executed these buildings. And this person is so important, and he was solely responsible for the construction of this fort. And here, this fort take the shape of a irregular octagon. Irregular octagon on the it is situated on the river, on the bank of uh, on the river Yamuna, and on its eastern side river Yamuna at that time was flowing, touching its fortification wall, touching its rampart. And so far as the shape of this fort is concerned, it takes a shape of the irregular octagon. And on the northern side, it is connected with a small fort that is known as Salimgarh, and the Red Fort, Shahjahanabad, is connected with the Salimgarh through a bridge. And so far as this Red Fort Shahjahanabad is concerned, it was having a long parallel sides, that is east and west sides. East and sides, their length is almost 915 meter, while its width is 518 meter. This fort is having a long parallel lines, and while that is of long, while the southern and while the southern and northern side are similar to each other, and their length is less than the eastern and western side. So far as the circumference of this fort is concerned, the total circumference is 2.41 kilometer. Now the question arises, inside this fort we have a cluster of palaces, we have a number of the palaces, we have a number of the religious buildings, we have a number of the pleasure palaces, and apart from it we have some official buildings. So there is a cluster of the buildings serving the different purpose of the sovereignty. And why it is known as Red Fort? Fort word is suffice to this. The reason is that this whole cluster of the building is is enclosed by a rampart wall, and we cannot say it's a fortification wall, because it's not a wall that is meant for functional fortification purpose, and but it is a rampart wall that only provide a safety to the inner palaces. Its rampart wall is very important. It is built with red sandstone, and it is having a two gateways, one on the western side, that is a main gateway that is known as Lahori gateway, while one another is on the southern side that is known as a that is known as a Delhi gate. So far as the rampart wall is concerned, it's very it is very huge, and its length, its height on the city side is 33.5 meter. Its total height is 33.5 meters, while the wall on the eastern side is not having such a height, and their height, the eastern walls have height of the eastern wall is 18.2 meter. These rampart wall of this red fort is having a three-storied effect by with the help of these cornices. And embrasures have also been given. These holes have also been given that can be used at the time of keeping the security, keeping the watch outside this fort. And at the top, this wall is surmounted by the battlements, and these battlements, of course, providing a defense structure. And by standing inside, you can see, and you can keep the watch and security outside. This wall is punctuated by the circular basins. These circular basins are merged with the wall. This wall with these basins are in turn providing a safety to these walls. These basins are solid, and these basins are surmounted by domed pillared pavilion, and it prepare a very important and good skyline. On the city side, its height is 33.5, while on the river side, its height is. And these wall has been used as a enclosure to these cluster of building built for royal purpose, built for of royal official purpose. This red fort is having a five gate, where the two gates are major. Uh, this gate is a main gate that is known as Lahori gate. Today, this gate is used for the for the purpose of the Republic Day. And another gate, it is in the at the cardinal point of western wall. And another gate that is minor to this, to the main gate, Lahori gate, is a Badshai gate, and that is known as Delhi gate. It is situated in the rampart wall of the southern side. It is meant for providing the entrance, and it is used by the emperor himself. And so far as the layout plan of this fort is concerned, the eastern area of the inside of the fort has been occupied by making a number of the palaces. Eastern area on In the eastern area, a number of the palaces built for personal and official use by the emperor. And the reason to occupy this eastern area by the building with the building is that now these buildings are overhanging to the river Yamuna, because on the eastern side, river Yamuna is now flowing. A large number of the palaces were built on the eastern periphery, and on the eastern periphery. But The whole palace, whole fort was earlier, whole Shahjahanabad earlier occupied by a different buildings, but during the revolt of 1857, a number of the buildings have been demolished in other parts by the Britishers. And but still we have a buildings that can be studied, and by this study we can easily assess, okay, what type of the architecture employed in the construction of the Red Fort at Delhi. It's a picture, it's a slide depicting the Lahori Gate. One thing, this Lahori Gate is having a outer, some sort of this outer enclosure to the gate. This enclosure is known as Barbican, or is a curtained, and one cannot allow to enter into the reach the main gate directly, and it provide the access from the northern side, and there is a courtyard, and in this courtyard then you can take the left turn and enter into a main gate. And this type of the curtain, or this type of the Barbican was this Barbican or this curtain to the Lahori Gate was built by the Aurangzeb, and it was not the contemporary to the Shahjahan. So far as the Lahori Gate is concerned, here the arched entrance is provided, which is flanked by two octagonal bastions. These are at the roof level having a cornice, and these octagonal bastions were having a battlements, and these bastions flanking to the main arched entrance has been occupied by the domed octagonal pillared pavilion. So far as the main arched entrance is concerned, at the roof level it is having a number of the kiosks, a number of the domed chhatris above, and both the corners are occupied by the multifoliated minarets, and these minarets were having a lotus as a pinnacle. And this sort of the orientation for the first time emerges, especially in the southern gate of the Taj Mahal. And this type of gateway, so far as the Badshai Gate, Delhi Gate is concerned, Delhi Gate is having the same orientation, same building components, and the same decorative features. Now all the octagon sides of the flanking bastions are having a multi-storied arched alcoves. These alcoves are blind, or these, in other words, we can say arched arched niches have been provided just for the sake of the decoration, nothing else. One thing I would like to emphasize here, beyond this rampart wall, there is a moat. This moat is filled with water, so providing a security to this Red Fort. This moat is having a width of 22.8 meters. Just imagine, this rampart wall is surrounded by a water-filled moat, and its width is 22.8, while the depth of this moat is 9.5. And if you want to access the Lahori Gate at that time, there was a drawbridge, and this drawbridge allow anybody to pass this, to cross this moat and enter into a Red Fort. And these moats surrounded on the western side and southern side, and they got the water from the river Yamuna. And on the other hand, it is also surrounded the southern side, and it touched the river Yamuna, and this moat is fed with water by river Yamuna. Now we have to enter into this Red Fort, and through this Lahori Gate, we enter into a area. This area or this building is known as Chhatta Bazaar. This building is known as Chhatta Bazaar. It's a covered passage. Now you see it's a covered passage of a good length, and the length of this covered passage is 70 70.1 meter. It's a very long, and having a passage in the center, and on the both side this passage is flanked by 32 arcaded apartments. These arcaded apartments these arcaded apartments are used as a shop. This passage, or this is a marketplace, and in the center of this passage there is a octagonal opening, or this octagonal opening is meant to provide a fresh air and relieve the suffocation. And this passage flanking with the door with the shops, this passage is roofed with barrel vault on the arches. After some distance, we have a arches, and these arches supported the barrel vault. And this passage is meant to organize a market. And this Chatta Chowk, so-called Chatta Chowk, that is a bazaar, that is a market, is also known as Meena Bazaar. As per the records, this Meena Bazaar was being used to hold a market, especially on Friday, for the inhabitants of the for the royal personage during who were residing inside the forts. And this structure is in itself a having a architectural features. Now you see, after intervals we have a arches, between two arches we have a very important concave roof, and on the both side having a traveated openings. Again this traveated openings ventilated the inner side suffocation. And this structure was interior of this structure is plastered with lime mixed with surki, while between two arches some arch netting designs has also been executed. These arch netting designs have been executed in the stucco plasters. Chhatta Bazaar basically is a superstructures of the arches put in the linear axis, and apart from it, sides were also occupied by the arches. This structure, since this structure provides the cater the market needs, and this structure this structure ultimately culminated in a this structure ultimately culminated in a open space. And now this open space is the center point of the north south axis. And this open space, beyond this open space, the area of the palisade started. After Chatta Chowk, after the Chatta Chowk, we reach a structure that is known as Nawat Khana. Nawat Khana is a drum house. Here the ceremoniously drum was beaten, and this structure was also known as a Hathi. This structure was also known as a Hathi pole. It's a three-storied buildings, and this building was built on a rectangular plan, At the ground level, the center is occupied by a arched passage through which we can enter into a palisade area. And these arch, a bigger arch enshrine a smaller arch that facilitate the entrance. On the both side, and this bigger arch is placed in a rectangular frame, and this central arch is flanked by double-storied alcoves. These double-story alcoves provide the access or opens in the inner side compartment, and the both corner of this structure accommodates the staircases to go to the upper story. Upper story was conceived in the form of a upper story was conceived in the form of a five arched openings, meaning by there is some sort of the pillared hall in the center flanked by two rooms, and these five arched opening was provided on the eastern and western side, and the second story is surmounted by a huge dropping eaves, and huge dropping eaves. Beyond the above the huge dropping eaves, the parapet designs were built in the form of a railing. And now the western, northern and southern corner of this structure that is known as drum house has been occupied by the domed square pillared pavilion. This structure built of red sandstone, and the mostly the panels have been built. These inscribed panels you found on the western facade of this structure. It's a diagonal view. Rather, here the we can know about rear structure at this ground floor. The central arch accommodates the arched passage coming from the western side and flanked by two bigger arches. All three arches are symmetrical and having the same dimensions, and the corners are accommodate staircases to go to the upper story. And here the orientation of the arched opening is totally different. The eastern facade of the second story is divided into three, and each you can say part enshrines or accommodates three arched openings. Above we have a dropping eaves, and this structure is flatly roofed, and the outer of now it is whitewash. It is a later addition. Otherwise, this whole building, so far as the rear facade, so far as the southern and northern facades are concerned, it is embellished with the panels without having any designs, panels in the red sandstone. And after Nakar Khana, after after Nawat Khana, and this passage lead to and we approach the Diwan-e-Aam. A building, the Diwan-e-Aam means it's a hall of public audience. Diwan-e-Aam is a very important building. It is built of red sandstone, and the interior of this building is divided into nine ways, and nine ways from north to south and three ways from west to east, meaning by inside is divided into 27 ways, and these ways has been built with the help of the pillars, and the pillars in turn supported the cusped arches that is very typical of the Shahjahani period. And these cusped arches got the support of these pillars, and these pillars were having a inscribed bases that is again a typical architectural features of the Shahjahani period. And at the above these arcades or above these arched facade, this is a western facade. We have a dropping eaves. Beyond these dropping eaves, we have a cornice. Beyond cornice, we have a parapet type. Parapets have been used. Parapet motifs have been used to build this railing. on the corner of the, and it is this Diwane Am is flatly roofed, thoroughly flatly roofed. The corners are occupied by domed pillared pavilion, domed square pillared pavilion. At the rear end of this Diwane Am, at the rear end of this Diwane Am, we have a marble canopy, and this marble canopy, its roof is a Bangladar roof, and it is carved in relief, and here we find a relief decoration. This canopy is existing at the rear end or in the center arch, and this canopy is decorated with carving, relief carving studded with semi-precious stones. And back of this, so far as the back wall of the canopy, and this canopy was used to as a throne by the emperor when he hold a court. And the back wall of this canopy is faced with a beautiful panels inlaid with a multicolor stones representing the theme is flowers and birds. It's a very beautiful thing. And you know, this structure is having a dominated by Chhatrij and Chhajjaj and engraved. This structure, since built with a red sandstone, but it is gilded, it is covered with a gilded stucco. You know, Sahajah like a white color, so this whole structure is having a white plaster, and white plaster, that is a gilded plaster. And this gilded stucco plaster was created by the white cell powder. And this building looks like a white, its color is white because of this gilded stucco. And now this is a very beautiful structure, very spacious structure, and it is meant for holding a court. After this Diwane Am, we entered into a compound of the number of the palaces. In number of the palaces existing on the eastern side, and these palaces, since attached with the eastern side, eastern periphery, so these palaces looks like overhanging the river Yamuna. There is a number of the palaces which were set from north to south direction, and the southeastern corner we have a Mumtaz Mahal Palace, and then we have a Rang Mahal Palace. Then we have a Khas Palace. Khas Palace is a combination of three palace. Khas Mahal is having a three components, and then towards the northern side of the Khas Mahal we have a Diwane Khas. Then we have a Hammam, and you know, all these palaces crisscrossing by a, and from the Rang Mahal to the Shahaburj, there is a water channel that crisscross the center of all these palaces like Hammam. This water channel crosses the Hammam, then Diwane Khas, this water channel crosses the Diwane Khas in the center, Diwa Khas Mahal, and then Rang Mahal. This water channel is known as Nahr-e-Behist, yani stream of the paradise. These water Nahr-e-Behist got the water from this Sahaburj that is existing on the northernmost periphery, and water from the river Yamuna was lifted, and this Nahr-e-Behist got the water. And now I started from the southeast corner, and the first palace on the southeast corner is known as Mumtaz Mahal. Mumtaz Mahal. This palace is built. I would like to stop here, and I will continue in the next lecture. Thank you very much.